Good morning, students. So this is the summary lecture of chapter number 3, Water Resources, from class 10, subject Geography. So we have covered the entire chapter. Now we are just going to have a quick recap about this chapter and we'll discuss about the homework that I have given you in the previous lecture as well. So this chapter was quite small and it doesn't carry any much difficult topics that you will not be able to understand. They are quite common topics that we have talked about, and it is coming up from your day-to-day life and what we witness on some daily basis. So this chapter was not that kind of difficult. It carries very common topics that we have discussed. So we are just having a recap of the entire chapter again. This is just a small summary of the entire chapter. So we are starting with the lecture now. So basically, the first thing that I has given in this chapter is about some facts and figures about water. So we have talked about certain facts and figures, which is the current status of water on Earth. So around out of 100% of water, 96.5% of the total volume of the world's water is saline. So basically they are telling about the proportion of water that is around the earth. So that is 3/4 of the earth's surface that is covered with water, and from that only the 100% of water, 96.5% of the total water is saline only. So it's quite waste which we cannot use it on some daily basis, and from that 2.5% we are taking as fresh water. So there is only 2.5 water is there for us which we are using as fresh water. Then 70% of fresh water occur from these ice sheets and glaciers. So how this proportion of this 2.5 fresh water is being examined? So it is examined into two categories. Majorly it is coming from ice sheets or glaciers, and 29% is coming from the groundwater. So it is the basic facts and figures about water they tell about is that the 96.5% of the total volume of world's water is estimated to exist as oceans, and only 2.5% as fresh water is left with us. Nearly 70% of this fresh water occurs from the ice sheets and glaciers, which is coming from the Antarctica and the Greenland area, from the mountainous regions of the world, while a little less than 30% is stored as groundwater in the world's aquifers. And India receives nearly 4% of the global precipitation and ranks 133 in the world in terms of water availability per person per annum, and the total renewable water resource of India is estimated at 1897 kilometer per annum. So this is whole that what they have talked about certain facts and figures, and they have talked that about water that it is a renewable resource because we can renew this water again and again from certain technologies like hydrological cycle also, which is there. And you know about this hydrological cycle, which is coming from this precipitation and environmental changes and rainfall which is coming. So this hydrological cycle which occurs, we are collecting it and we can renew this water in many ways. So they have said this also, that water is a renewable resource, but still it is a renewable resource. We have plenty of reasons to make use of it again and again. Still there is water scarcity on earth. So why it is there? So we are going to talk about that in our next topic, which is about water scarcity and the need for water conservation and management. So this was the second topic in this chapter, and this is quite important also. So the moment we speak of water shortage, so basically as we all know, the current situation here is that we are lacking in water in many ways. There is certainly a shortage of water in many regions in India only and other parts of the world as well. So immediately we associate with such regions where having low rainfall or those that are drought prone. So basically if we talk about when there is water shortage, we immediately thought about the regions which are having less rainfall and which are in concentration of drought prone. So basically there is जिसको हम कहते हैं हिंदी में बंजर जगह, बंजर जहाँ पे पानी का कोई भी लेना देना नहीं है. So we think of such areas around us. So the availability of water resources varies over space and time. So basically the availability of this water resources is varying from the space and time, mainly due to the variation in the seasonal and annual precipitation, but water scarcity in most cases is caused by overexploitation, excessive use and unequal access to water among different social groups. So basically it is telling about the availability of water resources around us. So the system which is going around of this precipitation, it is about the areas which is coming under good rainfall area and which is coming under less rainfall area. So it varies because the time and space is also required here. If in some places if the waterfall is in good terms, so obviously that particular region will be rich in water resources somewhere or the other. But there are many regions on India which are preferably having less rainfall, and because of these seasonal changes which are coming up, and these seasonal changes are coming up because of our own activities which we are doing. We are cutting the trees, we are exploding the environment to such a level that we are not getting enough of rainfall nowadays. So before, if we talk about 30-40 years back, we were still in a good condition, the rainfall was good and we were getting a proper water resources that we needed around us. But now the situation is being entirely changed because of this over-exploitation which is coming up, and because of the overpopulation also, because the demand of water is increasing, we are wasting a lot of water around us, and this over-exploitation because is happening because of this overpopulation only, because the number is being expanded and the use of the resources will also expand, vice versa, it is going to happen. So because of this only, we are not able to satisfy the demand of the people around us, because the water is not going to fulfill each and everyone's need nowadays, because we are of this over exploitation, excessive use, we are wasting a lot of water, we are using it in nearly on we talk about our daily basis. I have given you this activity also, how you can save it. So on our daily basis, if we see, we waste a lot of water. When we brush our teeth, we open the tap and we don't close it. When we bath also, we take a lot of water, and it is necessary, but we are wasting in so many things. We need to do these things because currently the situation is of the coronavirus and we need to protect ourselves. We need to wash our hand again and again. We have to use the water, but it is going to only getting less and less water in our areas, and we can't help it now because we need to protect ourselves, but we can't save these resources as well. So the most cases of this water scarcity is because of over exploitation, excessive use and unequal access. So what about unequal access here is about the water is not being provided to majorly lands. So if they are drought prone, or the regions are like Thar desert in Rajasthan, there is unequal access. So people go from kilometers to travel, and they get 2 or 3 mud cars of water for themselves for their daily basis. So they do this thing on a daily basis. There are many other regions as well under this rural areas where they don't have enough of water around them, so they have to travel, or they call for these government institutions to provide them water in some way or the other, because they have to survive. So in some way or the other they are doing they are traveling for kilometers to have some water, or they are asking for government to help them in some way or the other to provide them water. So this unequal access to water among different social groups is about this. Now this water scarcity may be an outcome to large and growing population and consequent greater demand for water and unequal access to it. So basically it is telling about the water scarcity may be an outcome to over a large and overgrowing population. So I just told you about this, that because of this large overgrowing population that is around us, the demand of water is getting increasing, and consequently the greater demand of water is equal to the unequal water distribution to each and every person here. So because of this population only, the people around us, the demand of water is increasing day by day. So each and every person needs around 20 to 30 liter of water on a daily basis, and the amount of water is there on particularly earth, it is not enough for each and every person to fulfill their needs. So because of this large and growing population, the consequent greater demand of water and unequal access to it is quite common here. Then there is a large population means more water, not only for domestic use but also to produce more food. So now we are going to talk about the production of food also. So this also affects the water scarcity. How? Because if there will be large population around us, so there will be more need of food for them, and to make that particular food for them, basically for irrigation, more water is necessary. And if we are using more and more water for irrigation and for domestic purpose as well, so we are utilizing the entire thing and we are not saving anything, we are not conserving any part of it. It is getting overexploiting again and again. So because of this large population also, it means to have more water, not only for the domestic purpose, we are using not only for the domestic person, but also to produce more food. So to provide them more food, we need to have a more production of food, and for that production of food, we need to have more irrigation, more cropping of foods around us, and which needs a lot of water and lot of precipitation as well. There is seasonal changes that is occurring, so there will be lack of water around them in some areas. They will not be able to produce certain food. To get that, they will arrange it from other areas or from rivers as well. So in one way or the other, we are exploiting the water resources. Then hence, to facilitate the higher food grain production, water resources are being overexploited. So if we want to facilitate higher food grains production, and water resources are always being overexploited to expand these irrigation areas and for this dry season agriculture. So there is majorly in India, they are working under such agriculture fields where there is dry and irrigated areas where they need a lot of water to produce food and to produce a major part of crops there. So for that they need an excessive amount of water resources, and because of this food grain production, they are overexploiting the water resources to expand the irrigated areas and dry season agriculture. So majorly we are producing certain products and certain food grains which are not a seasonal product, but to we need to have that particular for the demand of the population which is here. We need to produce it in some way or the other. So why we need to produce it? Because there is a demand and we need to fulfill it in some way or the other. So for that they are utilizing other products, the pesticides and fertilizers to produce these things, and for that a large amount of water resources required, and because of large amount we are using, we are overexploiting the things, and it is expanding the irrigated areas and dry season agriculture. Then another point here, it is talked about the post-independent India witnessed intensive industrialization and urbanization, which is creating vast opportunities for us. So basically they were talking about the post-independence. After our independence, we have witnessed a lot of change. So we were at a nil situation and we want to explore a lot of things in India so that we can come to the level of other countries. So we started a lot of intensive industrialization and urbanization, with these territories that will happen, the primary, secondary and majorly tertiary sector have come up to such a level to increase the industrialization and urbanization around us, and they have created certain opportunities also. So for how this is affecting the water resources, because we are producing a large industries here, we are producing a lot of industries, tertiary sectors, and for that also water resources is required, and we are killing the environmental structure for that. We are killing the cleaning the area where there is a lot of trees and where the precipitation works. There will be no rainfall around them, there will not be a proper production of agriculture area. They are shifting that to the industrialization, so there will be less production area for the primary sector. So this is how they this is also the industrialization and urbanization have affected the water resources as well. In some way or the other it has. Then there was an ever increasing number of industries that has made matters worse by exerting pressure on existing freshwater resources. So there's the increase of these industries, they have killed the basically the pressure which is there. They, you know that how these industries work, and they are giving all the waste material, they are throwing all the waste material into these rivers. These pollution which is coming up, and from not only from these industries but from the other things as well, because the farming areas where we are doing irrigation part, and each and every sector we are improvising somewhere or the other. In the effect of these things is coming to the pollution rate, and it is not polluting the air, it is polluting the water as well. So all the waste material they are throwing in the water, the domestic waste also they are throwing in the water. So what they are doing, they are exerting the pressure to existing water, fresh water resources. So they are even not maintaining the fresh water resource as well for them. So it is quite less till now, and it is decreasing only because of the excessive use of all these things. Because the increasing number of industries, they have made worse, exerting pressure on the existing freshwater resources. Now there were certainly industries that were, apart from being heavy users of water, also required power to run them. So there is certainly certain industries that are there around us which need heavy users of water to require power run for them. So they are using water to generate energy so that they can use it in their industries to generate electricity and to generate power in them. So they were taking water also as a resource. So they have built certain water amplifier and power resources to generate electricity and power from them, and which is distracting or depriving the quality of water. And today in India, hydroelectric power contributes approximately 22% of the total electricity produced. So now the situation is that in India, the hydroelectric power, which is contributing approximately 22% of the total electricity that is produced. So because of this, we are using water to produce this hydroelectric power. Now it is contributing 22% as a whole. Now there were certainly multi-purpose river projects that have been made and integrated water resources management as well. So we have known about the water scarcity and why there is a need for water conservation and management. There were certainly projects that have been made to conserve and manage these water resources. So there were certainly some historical ancient time structures that they have built to safeguard the water and to conserve water in one way or the other. So how they were protecting and how they were basically how they were managing this water resource to conserve for the future purpose as well. So there was one scheme that was given by Jawaharlal Nehru, proclaimed that these multi-purpose projects, they called it as the temples of modern India, because they were thought of as the vehicle that would lead to the nation to development and progress. And he believed that these projects with integrated water resource management approach would integrate development of agriculture and the village economy with rapid industrialization and growth of the urban economy as well. So why he has talked about this? If we talk about these multi-purpose river projects that have been made, it is only made to have a certainty in water resources, so that it could be help in generating a lot of things for the India, and it could be safe for the future purpose as well. So we should not finish the entire resource in one go. We should save it for the future purpose as well, and which could also provide the other parts of the field work like irrigation, agriculture works or industrialization. It could help them as well. So that's why these multi-purpose river projects have been made. So what were the basic things here was, it is not now that they have come up, it is coming from ancient time. So archaeological and historical records show that from ancient times we have been constructing sophisticated hydraulic structures like dams built of stone, rubber or reservoirs or lake, embankments and canals for irrigation. So from a very long time, from a like 1st century BC, it has been started to show some ancient times. They have built such structures of hydraulic structures like dams. They have made from a very long time back, and they have built from these stone, rubble, reservoirs or lake type to embankments, canals for irrigation purpose. So dams were the major things, were traditionally built to impound rivers and rainwater that could be used later for irrigation and agriculture fields. So majorly the dams were the main thing that they have made that could help them to impound the rivers and rainwater that could be used for later for irrigation and agriculture fields. And today the dams are built not just for irrigation but for electricity generation, water supplies and for domestic and industrial uses as well, and for flood controls, recreation, inland navigation and fish breeding. So what are the basic advantages we can see here is that they bring water to those areas which suffer from water scarcity and also provide water for irrigation. So advantages of this multi-purpose river projects would be counting as that they bring water to those areas which suffer from water scarcity and also provide water for irrigation. And these projects generate electricity for industries and for our homes. Then they help in controlling floods, and these projects can be used for recreation, inland and navigation and for fish breeding. So we are taking all these things as the advantages of this multi-purpose river project that they have given to India. Then these dams are now referred to as an impounded water, and it is integrated with one another. So these dams are now referred to as impounded water and it is integrated with one another. And in recent years, wait a second. Yeah, now we are clear. Sorry for that. So now in recent years, these multi-purpose projects and large dams have come under great scrutiny and opposition for a variety of reasons. So there were major disadvantages as well of these dams. There were not only advantages, but there were certain disadvantages of these dams as well. So this damming of rivers, they have affected the natural flow that have been causing poor sediment flow. So what is basically these dams were made for the betterment of the India. Basically they want to conserve the water resources around them so that it could be safe for other purposes as well. But the new technologies also come up with a few disadvantages as well. So the disadvantage is caused that they have affected the natural flow, which was causing the poor sediment flow. Then there was excessive sedimentation at the bottom of the reservoir. So they when these dams were built, so what they have created in the middle, in the bottom of every river, there were excessive sediment which was coming up, and it has created certain barriers for the other things as well. And lack of these sediments result in rockier stream bed and poorer habitat of the river's aquatic life. So majorly they have affected the life of all the fish, basically the water animals as well, aquatic life we call. The reservoirs submerge the existing vegetation and soil and leading it to decomposition over time. So because of these reservoirs that we have created, they have submerged the existing vegetation and soil. So they are spoiling that also and leading to its decomposition over time, and they have affected the fertility levels of the soil. They have caused large scale displacement of local communities. So these reservoirs they have created on the floodplains also submerged the existing vegetation and soil, leading to its decomposition over a period of time. So they were spoiling the vegetation and the soil quality also from this water, because these reservoirs they were creating such a channels to these irrigation areas where the existing vegetation and soil they were spoiling because of the quality which was coming, the quality of this water which is channelizing to these irrigation areas, it was also spoiling. So the vegetation and soil was also getting decomposed, and it is happening from so many years. So the period of time which is come till now, it has spoiled a lot. And from this multi-purpose project, there was larger dams that have also been caused for new social movements. So it has also created certain barriers in the interstates as well, because there were certainly large dams and people need to access to more of the facilities they want for their particular state. So they have created a lot of social boundaries as well, which was the local people often had to give up their land and livelihood and their merged access and control over resources for the greater good of the nation. So many of the villages have to clean up because of this excessive use of dams, and they are building these dams, so they have to clear such certain areas for building it. And the people also contribute their own land for the betterment of the nation. Now there was irrigation that has also changed the cropping pattern of many regions, with farmers that have been shifting to water intensive and commercial crops. So before that, there is one more thing which is I haven't added here, but you should know about Narmada Bachao Andolan. You should read it again. It is just a simple thing. That is also an important topic. I am not including that in my summary thing, but please read that topic as well. So irrigation has also changed the cropping patterns. How it has changed the cropping pattern of many regions, because the farmers were shifting to water intensive to the commercial crops. So we have just discussed about the overpopulation and over exploitation of things. So because the demand was so much, the farmers also started thinking to shift their cropping pattern from water intensive to these commercial crops. So this change which has happened with them, they have crossed all the lines. So they have channelized their cropping pattern from being just a normal thing. So they want to produce a large number of crops. So they were using these commercial crops which was having pesticides and fertilizers within themselves, and because of that the irrigation part needs certain channels also to provide them water. So the rivers were connected with these irrigation lands, and it is submerged with these fertilizers and pesticides, and it is going straight away to the river, so which is just killing the water resource itself. So it is killing all the purity or the proteins or the minerals that was there in this with the crops, जो भी protein आपको फ्रूट से मिल सकता था वो तो स्पॉइल हो ही रहा है, बट साथ में जो मिनरल्स होते हैं वाटर में, दैट इज ऑल्सो स्पॉइलिंग. So the things that is there because of the shift that have been taken by this farmer from this water intensive to commercial crops, they have just distracted each and everything. They have just spoiled each and everything now. So at the same time, it has transformed the social landscape to increasing the social gap between the richer landowners and the landless poor. So and because of this also, they at the same they have transformed the social landscape which is coming up, because they have increased the social gap between the richer landowners because they were taking these commercial crops, and the landless poor, those who have to work under them, so they don't have any other choice. They certainly two social gap that have been come between because of this change of cropping pattern. Now there is most of the objectives to the projects that have been arose due to their failure to achieve the purpose for which they were built. So most of the objectives of this project was failed because to achieve the purpose of which they were built, to save the water, but they were not saving the water. They were saving kind of a water, but they were saving in such a way that it is spoiling the condition of water resources. So how it is going to be used, I really don't know, but the main objective of this project was arose due to the failure to achieve the purpose of which they were built. And ironically, the dams that were constructed to control the floods have triggered floods due to the sedimentation of this reservoirs. So because ironically, these dams were built to control the floods, but because of the excessive system that was holding up with this dam, they have triggered the floods, and due to which the sedimentation in the reservoir which was built because of that. And moreover, the big dams have mostly been unsuccessful in controlling floods at the time of excessive rainfall. So it is not helping either way also, because they were unsuccessful in controlling the floods at the time of excessive rainfall. So there was a big failure for them. So there is one more thing that I want to tell you about this, the interstate conflict which was happening. So there was interstate and international conflict that happened because they want to acquire the land which was there. They want to all the rivers that were traveling between of these interstates. So they were not one, but there were 3 or 4 states which is crossing by. So every state want to acquire the major part of these rivers. So they were want to access to the major part of rivers. So there were certainly conflicts that have been occur between these interstates and inter-boundaries as well. So between India, Pakistan, India, China, India, Nepal. So it was happening in all of the states because they want to acquire the maximum number of profit from these rivers. Now the last topic about this chapter was about rainwater harvesting, which is one of the most important topic as well, and certain major questions that have come up from this rainwater harvesting only. So many thought that given the disadvantages of rising resistance against its multi-purpose projects, water harvesting system was the one that was a viable alternative for both socio-economically and environmentally. So many have thought that the disadvantages that these multi-purpose projects have taken, only the water harvesting system was the one which was a viable alternative for all the things which was having, because it was socio-economically beneficial, and environmentally also it is quite reliable, because it is not harming the environment in one or the other, it was helping only. So it was socio-economically well and environmentally also reliable. It is because it is not harming the environment. So people had in-depth knowledge of this rainfall regimes and soil types, and they have developed wide-ranging techniques to harvest rainwater, groundwater, river water and the flood water in keeping with the local ecological conditions and with their water needs. So basically people know about this importance of water which is coming from this rainfall, and when it is submerging with the soil type, what kind of good quality of irrigation system it is creating for them. So it is basically they need to develop their wide range techniques for by this harvest rainwater, groundwater, river water and flood water in keeping with the local ecological conditions and with their water needs. And in hills and mountainous regions, people built diversion channels like the Gulls and the Coals of the Western Himalayas for agriculture. So in the ancient India, basically in the hill and the mountainous regions, the people they have built certain division channels like the Gulls and the Coals for the Western Himalayas for agriculture. So they have certain rooftop rainwater harvesting system which is channelized through some pipes, and straight away this water is coming from this channel to this agriculture or irrigation areas which is there. Basically they have channelized that water system directly to the farm areas so that they could get the all the rainwater directly to this farming areas. Now the advantages of this rainwater harvesting was that these rainwater harvesting techniques were very simple to install and operate. So the advantages that came up with this rainwater harvesting are that they were quite simple, and they were simple to install and to operate, and the local people can be easily trained to implement such technologies and construction material, and also they were readily available as well. So basically it is quite easy to install and to operate, and local people can be easily trained to implement these techniques or technologies and to construct material out of their readily available. So it is not difficult to install these things, it is quite easy also, and people can be trained also easily to implement these technologies at their home. And other, if they want to have the surface root system, they can also build that, but it is quite costly. But at your home it is not even costly also, it is running cost, and also it is quite next level. So basically it is not going to cost you much, you can have it very easily. And the water collected from the roof catchments, usually it is of acceptable quality for domestic purpose as well. So if you are collecting that particular water at your roof catchments, it can also help you for your domestic purpose as well, to wash your vegetables and give that water to your plants, and for bathing as well you can use that water. So it is not that bad, because it is coming up cleaning that particular water. Now the example that have been given to you here was that in the state of Tamil Nadu, rainwater harvesting was made compulsory for every building to avoid groundwater depletion. So in many of these states, this rainwater harvesting has been made compulsory for them to build this to avoid groundwater depletion. So in state of Tamil Nadu, they have compulsory implied to each and every house that they should have rainwater harvesting system, so that if there is any groundwater depletion, this rainwater harvesting could help them to satisfy the needs of the water resources if it is required. Then in Rajasthan, rainwater harvesting has traditionally been practiced by the people of the Thar desert. So it is also traditionally being practiced by the people of the Thar desert, and at present in Pune, rainwater harvesting is compulsory for this new society to be registered. So if they are building any new building, they need to register themselves with the water harvesting system, that it should be there, and it is being compulsory for every new building which is registered in the state Pune. So this rooftop rainwater harvesting was commonly practiced to store drinking water, particularly in Rajasthan. So Rajasthan is one of the land, as you all know, that it carries certain land areas where there is dry regions and where there is depletion of water every time. So they have made from there, traditionally they have made this rooftop rainwater harvesting, which is commonly practiced to store for their drinking water. And in the semi-arid regions of Rajasthan, particularly in Bikaner, Falodi and Barmer. Almost all the houses traditionally had underground tanks for storing drinking water. So in Rajasthan, they thought of storing the water in some way or the other. So they have built tanks in the underground. Underground tanks they have made, जिसको हम होदी भी कहते हैं, in some way or the other in our language we call that होदी, which they build a particularly tank or tankas under the ground and to for basically for storing water for their drinking purpose and for other domestic purpose as well. So they are connected to the sloping roofs of the house through a pipe. So it is being stored in the top of the house, and they have a certainly pipe area which is transferring all the water to these sloping tanks. Then there is rain following on the rooftops would travel down to the pipes and has stored in these underground tanks. So these rain falling has a rooftops would travel down from these pipes and they have stored in these underground tanks. Then there is this rainwater can be stored in the tanks till the time the next rainfall, making it an extremely reliable source for drinking water when all other sources are dried up, particularly in the summer. So they don't store the first rainfall which is coming up, they use it for cleaning that particularly underground tanks. They use it the next time when the rain occurs, so the rainwater is stored in the next time in the tanks till the time they keep or for the first time they take it cleaning of their tanks. And then this rainwater or cooler pani as commonly referred to these parts is considered the purest form of natural water. So you know about this well that is there in these rural areas जिसको हम कूलर पानी कहते हैं कि मतलब हमें नीचे wells बने होते हैं and we need to just throw that balti and to take away that particular water from it. So it is also one of the things. So this is full as a chapter. It is done, and still you have any queries you can ask me in the comment section or the student inquiry section. Now about the homework solution that I have given you. So I have given you 5 questions, just a normal 5 questions to do as a homework solution, and the test solution I will give it to you on Monday. Please, I hope so you have mailed, all of you have mailed me the test exam. I will check it and I will let you know about what is the result. I will show you on my lecture itself what is the result of your test, and please it should be honest. So the answer of number 1 is it is obtained from naturally occurring water source like ice sheets, rivers, bogs, ponds, lake and glaciers, etc. So where you get the fresh water, basically you are obtaining it from naturally occurring water sources like ice sheets, rivers, bogs, ponds, lakes, glaciers, etc. And it can also be obtained from oceans by separating the salt from the ocean water. Now answer number 2, these multi-purpose projects are basically those dams which are used for various purposes like for irrigation, flood control, hydroelectricity generation, etc. And nowadays almost all new dams are multi-purpose projects. So these multi-purpose projects are basically those dams which are used for various purposes like irrigation. We are using these dams for irrigation, flood control, hydroelectricity generation and etc. And nowadays almost all new dams are multi-purpose projects. Answer number 3, why water is important as a natural resource? So water is an important natural resource and it is the very basis of our life. We use water for drinking, irrigation, industry, transport and for the production of hydroelectricity. And water is a cyclic resource which can be used again and again after cleaning. The best way to conserve water is its judicious use. Answer number 4, the scarcity of water indicates a defect of water, a disproportion within need or and storage. Water scarcity concerns water pressure, water curtailment and shortages and the water emergency, and this situation may cause due to both environment and individuals. And Main circumstances that contribute to this problem include inadequate supervision of resources, lack of management, awareness, and a man-made waste. So the scarcity of water indicates a deficiency of water everywhere around us, a disproportion within the need and the storage, and water scarcity concern water pressure, water curtailment or shortages, and the water emergency, and the situation may cause due to both environment and individuals. Then main circumstances that contribute to this problem include inadequate supervision of resources, lack of management, awareness, and man-made waste. And the factors responsible for this water scarcity are following: the increasing population, which is the chief cause of water insufficiency, cause of the excessive increasing population which is coming up, it is the chief cause of water in and the urbanization and industries which have boosted the consumption of water. So the urbanization and industries which are coming up which has boosted the consumption of water. Now the last answer: in floodplain of Bengal, people developed inundation channels to irrigate their fields, and in arid and the semi-arid regions, agricultural fields were converted into rain-feed storage structures that allowed the water to stand and moisten the soil. So they have done this thing. So we are done with the assignment solution. Now the homework that I want to give you: please read the chapter and try to solve the NCERT exercise questions. It's just you have to just try it. Try to solve it. We will discuss about each and every question that is there in your book in our next lecture itself. We will discuss all the question and answers, and I will give you one assignment as well. With that you have to do. So this is whole as a lecture, and still if you have any query in any of the chapter, in any of the topic, you can anytime ask me in my comment section or my student query section. And still, please take care of yourself, of your health. It is very necessary nowadays. So that's it as a whole. Thank you so much. Please take care of yourself. Thank you.